This congressional conversation is sponsored by AARP Nevada. Visit our website at aarp.org/NV. Your voice, your vote, our fight.
Thank you for joining us for the Review Journal AARP 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series. I'm Steve Sebelius. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the AARP, and all of the candidates for the United States House of Representatives who have agreed to participate in this debate series. Today, we're going to be speaking with Jim Marchant. He is a former Nevada assemblyman, a retired technology entrepreneur, and he is the Republican nominee for Congress in the 4th Congressional District. Mr. Marchant, thanks for joining us today.
How are you, Steve? Thanks for having me, and thanks to AARP for doing this. I think it's a great service for everybody out there to get to know us.
Absolutely, and we're very pleased that you agreed to participate and talk about some of these very important issues that affect older people. Let's we're in the midst of the coronavirus. Normally, you and I would be doing this live in a studio, sitting across from each other. We're not. We're doing it over Zoom, which you were an early pioneer with the voice over internet protocol idea. You were an early pioneer in that. Unemployment, as you know, especially here in our state of Nevada, reached Great Depression levels because of the coronavirus and because of the shutdown of business in the state of Nevada. A lot of older Americans have been disproportionately affected by that. If you're elected, what ideas do you have to help those Americans, especially those over 50 Americans, find employment and recover from the effects of this coronavirus?
Well, first of all, we did the right thing in shutting down the state, I guess, and America, you could say, to prepare for this, because this was an unprecedented event and we didn't know what it was going to do or how bad it was going to be. So we did the right thing in shutting it down and evaluate what was going on. And now that we kind of have a track record of how it's doing, I think it's time now that we should probably start opening up our state a little bit more and get our economy going, because as you know, what happened to our economy was terrible. A lot of people are out of work, a lot of businesses are lost forever, a lot of restaurants, and it's terrible for our state. So I think we need to kind of start opening up a little more, a little faster, and that'll help our seniors with their jobs. And that's first and foremost, we have to think about that. And not only seniors, but everybody. I mean, everybody is suffering because of this. And I think we need to start paying attention to that and doing the best we can to get back open so we can get our economy going again.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the first thing. Obviously, if there are no jobs, then people, regardless of your age, are going to have trouble finding employment. Once that happens, though, do you think there's anything that the federal government could or should do to help, especially those older Americans? A lot of times, when you I'm 52, will be 53 this year. When you're looking for work at that age, it's tough because employers look at you and they say, well, this person's got a lot of experience, and that means they're going to command a higher wage. They're not going to work for the lower wage of a younger person. And they're probably also going to be more expensive when it comes to our insurance program. And so older folks, even though they bring a lot to the table with all that experience and can probably do a job even better than a younger person, still have trouble finding those jobs. Is there anything the federal government can do to help specifically those older folks?
Yeah, I think just encourage the economy to be open and do the things that encourage small businesses to open and thrive. And I think with that, we'll have more jobs available for everybody, not just younger people, but older people also. I don't think the federal government should mandate anything, but anything they can do with help and assistance, like the SBA loans that they're doing, I think that's fine. But just open the economy up, and I think it'll take care of itself, because if we let the economy roar like it can, it'll take care of everybody, I believe.
Yeah, we had a roaring economy
We
before
did.
this virus hit, for sure.
And
Well,
we
we're
can
going to
get
take
it
our
back.
first, yeah, we're going to take our first break in our 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series with Jim Marchant in the 4th Congressional District. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us. There's a lot more ahead.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state. Because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJAARP 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series. We're speaking with Jim Marchant. He is the Republican nominee in the 4th Congressional District. And we're talking about job creation. Let's talk a little bit about health care. As you know, the Affordable Care Act was passed under the Obama administration, was passed without a single Republican vote. It's been very controversial since then. It had some unintended effects, but one thing it did do was ensure that people with pre-existing conditions would be covered by health insurance. They couldn't be denied insurance or sold insurance that covered everything but that pre-existing condition, which was the case before. So let me ask you just straight up your opinion of the Affordable Care Act, what you think ought to happen with it. Should it be repealed? There's a lawsuit before the Supreme Court to do that right now. Should it be sustained, or should maybe parts of it be kept and parts of it thrown out? What do you think?
I think we totally need to reform our healthcare system. It's been a disaster before the ACA, and certainly after. We don't want, to continue down the path where the government mandates everything to do with our healthcare. We want our patients and seniors and all of us to have a choice. And I am for replacing HCA with a more free market-based system that not only opens it up to competition to get our costs down, but to also figure out and encourage a system whereby you kind of get rid of the crony capitalism, because that's where a lot of the problems are too, in that, you have, companies are favored over other companies, and we need to stop that. So I think that a system where you have competition and transparency and that type of thing, I think that will lower the cost for healthcare for everybody.
Yeah. Do you think there should be absolutely no mandates, or should there be, for example, a lot of people, especially and including Republicans, say, well, the pre-existing condition thing, yeah, we want that to be in place?
Yeah, that is true. And that is one thing that I will say, that any bill that we do, we definitely will not eliminate anybody because of a pre-existing condition. So you're right about that, yes.
Yeah.
That is one of the mandates that I would go along with, because, it's not their fault that they have this problem. And, we have plenty of money in the system if we clean it up to be able to handle those type of instances where you have a pool of people that are that have problems like that. So I'm for that.
Yeah.
But
And
definitely do not preclude somebody with a pre-existing condition.
yeah. So let's talk more about this free market system, because the idea is, of course, that if you have multiple companies competing for business, they're on a level playing field. None can reject you for pre-existing conditions. They obviously want your business. They want your money. So they're going to continue to try to compete for that business. Should there be, what kind of regulation or oversight or control should there be at the federal level, or should there be none?
Well, no, there should be some, but very little. As you know, I'm kind of a limited government type guy, and you've always got to have some regulation on it. But as little as possible. But if you look at the LASIK eye surgery type thing, what that's gone through from the beginning, it's kind of a free market capitalist system. And you look at the prices, when they first started, it was real expensive. And then as you had people get into that business, more and more of them, the prices came down a lot. I think that would happen also with everything in our healthcare system. So I think that's where we need to head with this. And of course, we need to be able to adjust as problems come up. And once again, if we get favoritism out of the way also, I think that that will allow us to have a really good healthcare system. And insurances across state lines is another issue that I think would help, and getting our healthcare costs down. So there's a lot of options that we could choose.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a quick exit question, I imagine the answer to this is no, but I'm going to ask you anyway. A lot of people have said, and we'll talk about Medicare in depth in a little bit, but a lot of people have said, let's expand Medicare to everybody. Maybe slowly doing it, lower the age to 62, then 60, 55, et cetera. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, well, I'm not a Medicare for all type person. So I think we need to develop the healthcare system, like I said, that'll take care of everybody. And there may be areas where the government can help seniors out, and I'm for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take our next break, and we'll come back. We'll talk about some issues related to Social Security. And as I said, later in the broadcast, we'll talk about Medicare and other general issues like that with Jim Marchant, the Republican nominee in the 4th Congressional District. Stay with us. There's a lot more ahead.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state. Because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJAARP 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series. We're speaking with Jim Marchant. He is the Republican nominee in the 4th Congressional District here in Nevada. Jim, let's talk about Social Security. Do you support continuing Social Security in its current form, or do you support any of the plans? We've heard so many plans to either partially or fully privatize it by taking that withholding money, investing it in the stock market, and paying out benefits that way.
I'm for maintaining what we have. Everybody that has paid into it at this point, we want to guarantee that they get their money back out of it. And if there are options down the road, like for younger people, we may look at some other options on how to make this system better and actually pay out more. I think we do have some options there where we could look at some things that would grow the money a little more, and so that the younger people can take more money out of it in the long run. But we definitely have to protect it and make sure it's there for everybody that's paid into it. I'm on it myself, so I'm old enough to get it. So I definitely want it there. I don't want it anything to happen to it. And like I say, we could be innovative and keep the system we have, and then figure out for the younger people a better way to do it if that's an option.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people who are at or near retirement age, when they hear ideas of different things to do with Social Security, start to get a little nervous because they think, well, what about my benefits? And am I going to get less if we do that? If they're paying into this and the stock market has a really good year, really bad year, and all that. What do you say when seniors ask you about that and they say, "I'm a little nervous, Jim"? Can you
Yeah,
reassure me
no,
that?
I'm for keeping the system the way it is.
Mhm.
And then if there's something we could add on top of it, that would be a way to help the younger people. The people that are a certain age are certainly going to depend on getting what they put into it. And I think that that should definitely be preserved for them. And if there's other options that we could include on top of it for the younger people, I'm open to looking at that. But
Okay.
there may not be any, and just keep the system the way it is. But if there's other options that other younger people would like to explore, I would definitely explore it with them.
Yeah, you probably won't be surprised to find that most people agree with you. 93% of Republicans, 99% of Democrats, and 92% of independents said in a poll taken by the AARP they see Social Security as an important government program. But this is
Absolutely.
a statistic in that same poll that I found interesting. 57% respondents are not confident in the future of the program. They say either they don't trust the government to keep its promises, they think the money is running out, or they say the politicians have taken money from the trust fund in the past, which is true,
True.
and it's not going to be there for them. And I think most people are cynical like me, saying, I see the estimates from the trustees, and they say, well, we're only going to have 79% of benefits in this year. And of course, this year that they say is always the year that I plan to retire. So,
Right. Right. Well,
um,
that's why I say I'm open to look for other alternatives to kind of shore that up in the long run for the younger people, for people my age, and even your age. We're probably in this system that we have, and that we definitely need to preserve that for us. And but like I said, I would be willing to look with the young people if they can come up with a better idea to shore it up or add something on top of it. I would be willing to. I'd be open to that. But they're paying in. I mean, from the time you start working, they're paying in. So they need to definitely. We need to preserve that for them. But if we can add something on top of it for them in the long run, I would definitely be open to that.
yeah,
Something that would
absolutely.
give them a little more security that it's going to be there when they retire.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about some ideas to maybe stabilize the program going forward after this next break. So stay with us as we continue our discussion for the RJAARP 2020 Candidate Interview Series. We'll be right back.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state. Because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJAARP 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series. We're speaking with Jim Marchant. He is the Republican nominee in the 4th Congressional District. We're talking about Social Security. The most recent estimates from the trustees of the Social Security program say that the trust fund will be exhausted in 2035. But new reporting is suggesting that that may be too optimistic because, as you know, with all the people out of work due to the coronavirus, people are not paying into
Not
the
paying
system,
into it.
and so the trust funds are not being replenished as they normally would be. So what ideas do you have specifically to stabilize the funding for Social Security?
Well, that's a good question. I think first and foremost, we got to get the economy going again and get people back working to pay into it. But we also need to figure out, where the money's gone and more efficient ways to operate the system. And if we do that, I think that we can prolong the time where it's going to collapse. And we don't want that. We definitely have to do everything we can to make sure that that system's there for us and for everybody that has paid into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the nonpartisan committee for a responsible budget. I shouldn't say nonpartisan; it's bipartisan. It has
Bipartisan,
people from
yeah.
both. They're talking in their latest report about making changes promptly because of the high cost of delay. Let's go over a few of the things that might extend the life of the program. And some of these are controversial, some not. We'll see where you stand on them. First, raising the Social Security withholding threshold. So you're only taxed to a certain percentage of your earnings. If you earn beyond that, they're not taxed for Social Security. What do you think of raising the threshold on that, which would essentially be a tax increase for higher income earners? That would put more money into the system, but on the other hand, it would be a tax increase. What do you think?
Well, I'm typically not for tax increases. I would like to see if we could find another way to get around that. And I think that it is something that there are a lot of options available, and I would rather look at some of those options. I don't want to raise taxes on people. And so I think let's look at other options that'll solve the problem.
Okay. Increasing the current withholding tax on the wages now from 3% to say 4.1%.
Yeah, and I'll be against that too. I think there are other options that we can investigate and look at to solve the problem. I don't want to raise taxes on people.
Gotcha. And as I mentioned, the Committee for the Responsible Budget said that if the actions that we take now, if we take an action now, it would be if we raise it, say 1% now, it would save us from having to raise it even more later if that policy choice is made later on. So, for example, they say a 3.1 percentage point payroll tax increase today would require a 33% or 4.1 percentage point tax increase in 2035 if we wait till 2035 when these things go out. So they're saying, look, if we raise taxes now slightly, it'll be better than having to raise taxes more down the road. But you're saying neither now nor then do you want to raise taxes for this.
I think there are ways that, entrepreneurs like myself that have run businesses that we can figure out a system or options that will save this system. And I think that's available. And I think it just, people like us need to get together and look at the problems and figure out the best way to do it. But I don't think raising taxes is the best way at this point.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Well, we're going to come back in just a minute with a few other ideas, not tax increases, a few other thoughts to extend the life of Social Security as our RJ-AARP 2020 candidate interview series continues. So stay with us.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state, because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJ-AARP 2020 Congressional Candidate Interview Series. Our congressional candidate today is Jim Marchant, the Republican nominee in the 4th Congressional District. So we've been talking about Social Security and some ideas to extend the program. We've talked about the options of raising taxes. Now let's talk about some of the other options that would extend the life of the system. What do you think about reducing benefits paid to Social Security recipients now, cutting those benefits off? Some people say it's inevitable. Other people say, no, it's not. What do you think?
I want to try to avoid that at all costs. Like I said, I think that, if we get enough brain power around this, we can figure out how to preserve the system and keep it going. And I think that those options are there. We just have to, do the work.
Yeah. So that's a no to reducing the benefits. What about raising the retirement age to get the full benefit? There's some people that say that this is not a good idea. This would disproportionately impact minority residents, people who are receiving Social Security. If they raise the retirement age, it disproportionately impacts them. But others say no, this would encourage people to continue to work and pay into the system for the longest possible time. What do you think?
That's something I could consider. It's one of those options that is worth considering. I'd rather not do that. I would rather figure out another way to handle the issue of this not being solvent down the road. And like I say, I think we can do it. We are the United States. I think we can figure out a way to save this program. And like you said, it was one of the best in the history of the world. And we need to save it and figure out how to do that. And I would be willing to do that.
Yeah. And just to clarify for our viewers, raising the retirement age would just be for the maximum benefit. You would still be able to retire at the current age. You would just get less in terms of a monthly benefit under that idea. What do you think about a means test? I use the example of myself. If I go down to Green Valley Ranch tonight and say I hit the megabucks and all of a sudden my lifetime income goes through the roof. And when I retire, if I've got all that money, I don't necessarily need that Social Security benefit. Should that go to somebody who does need it if I don't?
Well, once again, I'd like to leave that up to the individual if they feel that they can survive without it. And once again, I don't want the government mandating something like that, but if we could, I'm sure there are ways that we can encourage people to do that. And so I would be willing and looking at something like that, but I don't think a mandated means testing type thing, although it's something that would be part of going through the process to figure out what are our options to help this system survive longer. And, that may be one of the things we have to do it, but I would like to avoid it if possible. And then, like I said, give the senior or the person the option to do it if they think they can live without it.
So in my example, for example, if I didn't need that, I could somehow opt out of receiving those benefits and say, listen, give my benefit, spread my benefit out to people who need it. Rather than that, but only as a voluntary thing.
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of people say, look, this is not a welfare program in the sense of you're getting a handout. This is something that you have paid into.
That's right.
Your whole life.
That's right.
And in essence, you've earned that money, and so you're getting it back. Now, the actuaries tell us that people will often get out more than they put in. But notwithstanding that, it is not an entitlement in the sense of you're getting something for free. Right. You're actually getting something that you have earned. So
you've earned and paid into. Right.
Yeah. Before we leave this subject, is there any other issue or any other idea that you have that I haven't covered or asked you about that you think would be useful to extend the life of the Social Security program?
Can't think of any right now. Like I said, we need people that have critical thinking ability that can look at the overall problem and come up with a solution. And we just need people in the healthcare community, people in the business community that's operated businesses, and just come together and figure out what are the best options to make sure that this system is there in the long run for everybody that is put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we will continue our discussion. We're going to talk about Medicare coming up as our RJ-AARP 2020 candidate interview series continues. So stay with us.
Today is full of opportunity. to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state, because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJAARP 2020 Candidate Interview Series. We're speaking with Jim Marchant, former Assemblyman, retired tech entrepreneur, and Republican nominee for the 4th Congressional District here in Nevada. Now, we've already discussed earlier in the broadcast the idea of expanding Medicare to a larger portion of the population. You've said that that is not something that you would prefer. So your preference would be to keep it for people 65 and older and those who have disabilities, and not extend it to people of younger ages.
Exactly. Yes, I want to make sure that we preserve the Medicare system for the seniors that have it now and the ones that are just coming in to the age that can take advantage of it, because it's hard enough to keep it going as it is. So I'm definitely for and not in favor of cutting any benefits for seniors at all.
Mm-hmm. I see. And that includes all the Medicare benefits that we currently have, keeping
Right.
those intact.
Keeping those intact. And yeah.
Yeah. The trustees of Medicare estimate, keeping it as is, as we just said, that in 6 years, the system is not going to be able to pay full benefits. There was an AARP poll that found that 93% of older voters, quite understandably, want candidates to discuss what they're going to do to prevent cuts in the system. So this is your opportunity to talk to that 93% and say, what will you do to prevent cuts in Medicare?
Well, once again, as an entrepreneur, I think that we have an opportunity to optimize the system and operate it more efficiently and gain a lot of money there, save money there. Also, there's a lot of fraud. And I think that if we get rid of the fraud and tackle that, and also, once again, the crony capitalism part. I mean, you have a lot of middlemen that are, making a lot of money off of this. And if we can streamline that and operate it more as a business, I think that we could save a lot of money and put that back into the system that goes out to the seniors.
And you hit on one of the things that the AARP and its lobbying of Washington, D.C., and I'm sure if you're elected, you will receive a visit from one of those folks. They've said the exact same thing: sustain Medicare for the future by cracking down on that waste and fraud and finding that. One of the other things that they said that they prefer is to allow Medicare to negotiate for lower prescription drug prices. In other words, use that vast purchasing power that the system has to basically get a better deal from pharmaceutical companies. Do you support that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the things that President Trump did recently was that favored nation deal where the pharmacy companies can't charge people here in America, or they have to allow us to buy prescriptions the same as they do foreign countries, right? And I think he was able to lower our prescriptions an enormous amount. And then once again, taking the middlemen, that's why the big pharma is kind of against him right now. They're real upset with him because we have taken the middlemen out and kind of streamlining everything and running the whole system more efficiently. Because I agree with most people. There's no reason why we here in America should pay more for drugs than anybody else in the world. We are the United States. We should be benefiting from the lower cost.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so we've discussed tax increases in the realm of Social Security. In terms of Medicare, Do you think there's ever a situation where you would consider a tax increase in order specifically to sustain the Medicare program and to keep the benefits intact?
Well, you never want to say never, but I think that we need to explore all other options before we even address that. And like I said, if we run this system better, more efficiently, and we address the waste and fraud, I think we can come a long way to helping this system survive for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So not a first choice, but also not off the table entirely.
Not off the table, but it would take a lot for me to get there. We'll figure something else out before that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we are going to take another break, but we've got more questions about Medicare coming up as our RJ AARP 2020 candidate interview series continues. So stay with us.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state. Because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJ AARP candidate interview series. We're talking with Jim Marchant, who's running in the 4th Congressional District as the Republican nominee. We've been talking about Medicare. Mr. Marchant, you served in the Nevada legislature, and the legislature very recently passed a bill, bipartisan support, authored by Senator Ivana Cancela, that essentially made drug companies reveal their pricing information so that the pricing would be transparent, specifically with respect to drugs such as insulin and those used to treat asthma. I know she wants to expand that to other pharmaceuticals. Do you think that approach could work on the federal level if you got to Congress? Would that be something you'd pursue?
Yeah, I do. I think transparency is always good. And that would be a way to also lower the cost, because especially if you introduce a free market capitalism system in the mix, then you're going to go somewhere else to get your lower cost. But first of all, you have to know what it is. So I would definitely support transparency.
Yeah, and apparently the pricing scheme, it seems like a very straightforward bill, but apparently that procedure and process is quite Byzantine. And the consumers never really quite understand in healthcare what the cost of the service are. You go to buy a television or an automobile and you know exactly the cost. You compare everything online, but with healthcare, it's just not the same. And so you don't really know what's going through because insurance pays some of this and the other thing is paid by this, and the total cost is sometimes shocking. And if you've ever had to buy a name brand drug at cost, at the cost the pharmacy would charge you without any discounts, boy, you might need a doctor just for that.
Yeah, you said it. Shocking is the appropriate word. Once again, if we let a free market capitalism, transparency all play out into a system, people are going to know what they're paying. And if it's just like buying a TV, you're going to go to the store that offers it for the lower price, if all things are equal. And that's what we need to get to here. And once again, we have a lot of corporations that are controlling this system and making it. They don't want there to be transparency. A lot of people are making a lot of money off of us. And that money could put right back into the system that would help our seniors. And that's what we need to do. Because there's, like I said, I talked about crony capitalism. That's that's something that we need to get out of our healthcare system altogether. And if we do that, that money could be used to shore up this system.
Yeah. Now we've been talking about ways to cut costs and preserve the system and run it more efficiently. Let me ask you something that I'll acknowledge up front would increase costs, and that is dental coverage. Medicare currently doesn't cover dental coverage. So if you either have to have a supplemental insurance plan or you pay out of pocket, and that can be quite expensive. I had to go in just yesterday to get a crown in, and I dropped about $450. Now, on seniors on a fixed income, that's a lot of money. So do you think Medicare, even though it would cost more, should cover dental procedures?
Well, that's something that I would like to consider. Once again, if we can streamline the system, make it more efficient, and kind of cut out the waste and fraud and the crony capitalism, where companies are taking advantage of just making obscene profits, I think that I would consider that.
Yeah. And final question on this subject, do you think Medicare is too complicated? In other words, we've been talking about things it does and does not cover. There's a booklet that you can get when you start, you look through it. Then there's Part B, Part D, insurance, supplemental insurance, all these different things. Should it be streamlined? Should Medicare be a much more streamlined system?
Absolutely. And that's part of what I'm talking about in running this system more like a business, well-oiled business. And kind of, there's a lot of mystery around how to deal with this. I don't even understand it. And I don't even know if the insurance people understand it very well. So yes, we could go a long way towards making this a lot simpler and easier for all of us to understand. And I would be definitely willing to help with that.
All right, sounds good. Well, we're going to take our final break, and we'll be back with more questions and answers with Jim Marchant as our AARP 2020 candidate interview series continues. Stay with us.
Today is full of opportunity to connect with others, grow as a community, and even improve lives. And AARP is in Nevada, helping to make it all happen, with resources to help you steer clear of fraud, helping to make our community accessible for all, and fun and educational events all over our state. Because AARP has real value for you, your family, and for everyone in Nevada. So let's take on today together. Learn more at facebook.com/AARPNV.
Welcome back to the RJ AARP 2020 candidate interview series. We're speaking with Jim Marchant, who's running in the 4th Congressional District. What can the federal government do, or what should the federal government do to ensure the safety of nursing homes? During this COVID epidemic, we've seen some nursing homes become a real a hotspot for the transmission of coronavirus. And of course, people who are in those kind of facilities are among the most vulnerable to the disease. Should the federal government do anything, whether give supplies, assistance of some kind? How should the federal government deal with the safety of seniors who are in those types of facilities?
Yeah, I think definitely there needs to be government oversight in those systems. I feel terrible about the way some of the people are treated in those facilities. And so I think there definitely needs to be oversight and more innovative solutions to problems with those facilities. So yeah, I'd be open to explore a lot of different options to make sure that elder abuse doesn't happen in those facilities, and protect them more from COVID. I think we all know that some of the people that had COVID were directed to go to these healthcare homes, and I think that was wrong. We shouldn't have done that, because a lot of people died that probably wouldn't have gotten it. So we need to look at that, and there is a certain amount of oversight that I think the government has to make sure that those facilities are safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things we were talking in the break that you have heard on the campaign trail from senior citizens as you've campaigned for Congress is the issue of crime.
Right.
The seniors are concerned about crime in their neighborhoods. They see things on TV and they think that they're not safe. Talk about that a little bit. What do you tell those folks as you're campaigning?
Yeah, I just tell them that we need to support candidates that support our law enforcement. I'm definitely not for defunding our law enforcement. I want to increase it actually to the point where they can actually protect our neighborhoods a little more and do their jobs better. That is a definite concern that I'm hearing out there. And they see on TV these riots and, people saying, well, we're going to come out to the suburbs and, take what's rightfully ours, that kind of thing. It scares us to death. So, because I'm one of them. And I think we need to make sure that we keep our law enforcement intact and get more out here if we can.
Yeah. Do you think that, not to take away from that concern, because obviously that is a legitimate concern. You are hearing it on the campaign trail. Is that something you think is inflated, hyped by the media coverage of these cities that things on fire and riots and tear gas and all that, or is that you think that's more of a definitely a legitimate concern for senior citizens in America today?
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate concern. And, just in walking the neighborhoods, I'll come up to houses that have had recent break-ins. And, I came up to a door the other day, had a hole in it where somebody put a hole in it. And this is in a senior community. And, talked to another guy. Yeah, I was just broken into. I just went down to the store and came back and my house was broken into. So it's a concern out here, and we need to make sure that we increase our law enforcement to protect us.
Yeah, and what role does the federal government have in that? Is it direct funding? Is it equipment? Is it how exactly as a member of Congress, if you're elected, would you accomplish that end?
Just make sure that the states and local communities have as much resources and knowledge, and then if there is federal funding available, make sure that that's available to them to maintain law enforcement, because we definitely don't want to defund our law enforcement. Yeah,
and defund, obviously some people think that just takes the money away from the police. They are actually talking about reallocating, but you're saying no, right. Let's not reallocate.
Some of it is and some of it's not. But I want to let the leaders of the law enforcement agencies decide where they need it. I don't think government should be telling them what they need to do, to hire psychiatrists to go along with our police officers. I don't know if that's such a great idea. Sure. So I don't want any mandates like that.
All right. Well, Jim Marchant, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and taking the time to talk about all of these issues for our forum. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to do it.
My pleasure, and I appreciate y'all doing this. And thanks to AARP for doing this. I really appreciate it.
And I echo that. Thank you to our sponsor, AARP, and thank you for watching. You can stay up to date on all the 2020 political news on our website at www.reviewjournal.com or on our mobile app. And stay with us as our debate series continues. Until then, for the Review Journal, I'm Steve Sebelius.